Working on a 2001 Extreme Blazer, and a common issue that they have on these cars is that the window trim around the rear windows gets sun damage and becomes really crunchy and disgusting. And I'll show you that here in a second. But what we're going to do is we're going to start by using a filler and sander primer, and we're going to put a couple of coats on that, and then we're going to do Plastidip on it. The original trim on this car was like black, kind of looks like Plastidip does, so we'll probably start with that, see how it comes out, and we might paint it later if we need to. But the materials that we're using today, X-Acto knife, we have this painter's paper, just keep the overspray off of the rest of the car. And then we're using 180 and 400 grit sandpaper to knock down the filler primer. We got painter's tape, gloves just to keep our hands clean. Safety first, make sure that you wear a mask and everything when you're doing anything with paint or primer or anything like that. And then obviously the paint itself. So of the vehicle, this is the kind of roughness that I was trying to show you guys earlier. Let's see if we can, yeah. So see how that's all cracked and disgusting. So what we're doing right now is we're taping off the window, making sure that we get up and around this lip right here. That way you don't get overspray underneath the vehicle or the trim and on your paint. And then we're going to go ahead and move forward and spray some primer on here and then sand it. This is the siding that I was talking about earlier. What I wanted to show you guys is how bad it was here. If I can get this to focus here. Yeah, so it's pretty disgusting. And then it's completely around the whole outside of the trim on the vehicle. So we're gonna go ahead and tape all this stuff off, and then we'll get spraying primer. Okay, so what we're gonna do, obviously you gotta shake up your primer first. Make sure that you are using your mask because obviously you don't want to have a headache or anything. A lot of times these are detrimental to your health if you like breathe them in or anything too. So make sure that you're wearing a face mask. We're going to start by shaking up the primer, and I'm going to do my first coat. And then I'm probably going to put on like 2 or 3 coats before we actually start like sanding it, because some of these are pretty deep in here. So I'm going to go ahead and start spraying this though. I'm putting it on pretty deep too, or pretty thick, just because, like I said, the actual like crevices and the cracks and stuff in here are pretty deep, so I want to make sure that we get good coverage on those. We just got the first layer of primer down, and we sanded it with 130 grit sandpaper. One thing I was going to show you is if you guys don't wait long enough for the primer to actually set up, then you end up with this. This primer says 4 hours, but we didn't necessarily have the time to let it sit and wait that whole time. So just letting you know, if you look at your sandpaper and you see that, that's why. But yeah, we just got the first layer down, and we sanded it with 130, and you can see the difference from the previous. Like right in here, it actually kind of sucked down into those little grooves, and now sanding it makes it a lot smoother. So we're on our way. What we're probably going to do is we're going to spray this again, wipe this down, and then we're going to sand the next layer, and we'll see what it looks like. So this is after 3 coats of primer. You can see that there's still some texture in here. We haven't sanded it yet. We're still using like 180 grit sandpaper, And then you can also see I had a piece of it get broken off here and here. But my hope is that tomorrow we'll get this orange peel sanded out of there, and then we'll start the Plastidip on it. So we just got done doing the final sanding session on this window, and we've unmasked it. Now, if you look, there's around the corners of the window, there's some like breakage of the primer. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna retape this window and then sand these sections so that we have the like these corners are smooth and they don't pull away later on. And then what we're gonna do is we're gonna mask it off, sand it, and then we will Plastidip the rest of this. We've done that on the other side. If you come around here, this is one coat of Plastidip. We're probably looking at doing about 3 or 4 different coats. So we are almost finished. We put the last coat of Plastidip on there, and we are now waiting for it to dry. So I was going to show you. This is the general texture of the Plastidip. This should actually smooth out just a little bit as it cures more, but it's pretty smooth in comparison to the roughness I showed you guys earlier. We're gonna have to go back through. One thing I would recommend is that if you're gonna do this, let me see if I can turn the, there you go. If you're gonna do this, make sure that the number one, that your tape is good so you don't get primer up on your window. It's not a big deal. I'm gonna go back through and redo it, but also make sure that you tape down in front of this seam and actually get down in this little area, because we didn't do that, and I'll probably have to go back and touch it up again. But it looks a lot better than it did before with all the corrosion and stuff. Hey guys, I just want to say thank you for watching the video all the way through. If you guys have any questions, please drop a question down in the comments below. Give me a thumbs up, and if you want to see more DIY projects that I'll have coming up, just go ahead and subscribe. Thanks.